version of our
is that
universe into
kind of
their
like a
universe.
catch-all? Like they're not supposed to work. They're not supposed to work at all in any other universe. Like they're just supposed to be power.
Then did they? And then she like at the end it has a hashtag. We did our homework. Hashtag Marvel what if.
Okay.
It's
I mean, it's a what if story. It's hard to begrudge them any plot holes.
right.
Yeah.
Plot holes are the
Because
part
we
and
should just
parcel of
take
this.
it as like a we saw the Watcher get punched through dimensions, and I think that was well worth the the Infinity Stones are supposed to work their plot hole.
Yeah.
Right.
I think.
And it could have.
I was legitimately like, oh, you do not have the computational
And
power to like, or you don't have the you don't have the whatever to like compute my will, and it's just like a really powerful statement.
Well, and it could have been. It could
I
have
like
been a
that line.
feature.
That was like, oh, terrifying. Okay, Watcher's about to.
It could have been a feature not
I'm
of
thinking
the,
about
of the
it.
stones.
When you think about it, I'm thinking about it now. Did we ever see him travel through time, rewind time, or freeze time, or while they were in him, or warp reality? Did we see him warp reality?
No, he never warped reality. He just jumped between realities. However, something I really feel like no one's really talking about is that the Watcher very easily ran through the entire blast of all 6 of the Infinity Stones aimed directly at him. Like all of the stones the power was spewing from the Ultron's chest at the Watcher, and he had this big old shield and just like ran through it. Like nothing. He ran through it and just hit him, like knocked him across. I feel like the Watcher was like not really wanting to engage, but I feel like if he did, he could have won.
Yeah. You can never be quite sure.
I just feel like he spent so long not fighting.
He's been a pacifist for so long, a Watcher for so long, that you're never quite sure. Now, the one thing that people are also not considering is it might not be a power of the Infinity Stones to bring a part of the universe into the other universes. It might be a feature of the armor they're embedded in. And if the armor can provide that tether to the other universe, that's why the Infinity Stones still work.
That's true. Or if he uses the armor as kind of a battery. Like, he could have willed an infinitely filling battery with the Reality Stone. Like, anything, and we've already seen he created his armor with the Reality Stone.
Right.
So things created outside of the universe using the Reality Stone is maintained in other universes.
Right.
So at worst, all he has to do if he starts running low on juice is punch his way back to his universe.
Well, since he created the armor out of the very stuff of reality in our universe, just by wearing that armor in another universe, he's bringing a pocket of our universe into that other universe. That could be why the Infinity Stones work for him.
See that particular argument wouldn't work because the gauntlet, which was created for to wield the Infinity Stones, does not work in other universes.
But the gauntlet wasn't created by the Reality Stones.
Yeah, the gauntlet was created
as
the power of the
stones.
If it's
just
using it like a battery
source. Stones.
Yeah, no, the battery source is what I'm advocating for.
Yeah.
I think Doc is suggesting that the armor was used to utilize the stone, and thus creates because it's an armor, it creates this space that he can use the stone because it's created in the other universe. But that's still the same thing as using the gauntlet.
No, the reason it's not the same thing. I'm
gonna rewatch the whole What If series soon because it's awesome.
The reason it's not the same as the gauntlet.
There's so many little details.
It was slow.
The reason it's
first,
but the reason it's not the same thing as the gauntlet is because the gauntlet was created separately out of mundane material, where the armor was created out of the very stuff of the universe. What?
Well, if it was created, the gauntlet is made out of Uru, the same thing as Thor's hammer.
Yeah, and the armor
is created by the Reality Stone itself. No, it's created by the reality stone itself, out of basically elements drawn from the very essence of reality.
Wish the armor into existence,
which is why the armor is different from the glove.
Well, I mean, like the matter still existed in that universe and is going into another universe.
Yeah.
So like it shouldn't matter because it's still matter in that universe.
Yeah.
They brought it to another one.
Yeah, but the matter could have an invisible tether.
Used as a battery though makes them.
It could have an invisible tether going into the other universe.
I think we're kind of on that.
Again, we're nitpicking. Yeah. Anyway, we're already about almost
science fantasy.
We're 47 minutes past
story.
We're 47 minutes past the end of the show, and we also promised to talk about Carnage.
Oh gosh. Oh yeah.
So
you want to stick around and talk about Carnage? Venom, Let There Be Carnage?
Or did you see it?
I saw it.
He did.
Oh, he saw it. Okay.
Yeah, me and Lurch saw it together.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, obviously, the biggest spoiler of all of Carnage was the post-credit scene.
You just start right there.
Well, because we don't have a lot of time.
We'll start at the end and then work our way back.
We don't have a lot of time, so we got to hit the big points.
That's kind of how I want all of my Venom movies to work, actually, because I mean that honestly works good. Just start at the end and then work our way backwards seems to be the best method to talk.
They're in a hotel room. They're watching some namby-pamby show. I don't remember what they were watching. And then Venom telenovela. That's right. And then they're talking about that and stuff. And then Venom offers to show Eddie Brock just a portion of all the information he actually has stored from all the universes he's seen. And, of course, him having a photographic memory and everything means he can remember it all with perfect recall. So he's got a lot of shit stored in that symbiotic brain of his. Anyway, he offers to show just a portion of it. And then we get this, like, interdimensional ripple. And then suddenly they went from being in a sleazy hotel room watching a telenovela, like somewhere in like Mexico or something, to being in like a hut in the Caribbean with the news playing, and it's J.K. Simmons as J. Jonah Jameson talking about that Spider Menace.
Yeah.
Peter Parker.
Showing
Tom Holland.
Yeah.
And Venom's like,
something I definitely want to note about that scene is it had very much the end of Ant-Man and the Wasp vibes, where like at the very end they get dusted and like he gets stuck and everybody's like, what, because that's supposed to occur during an event we were supposed to know about. It feels very much like that, where we haven't seen the actual rippling and why it's rippling yet. Right. I mean, we know, but we haven't seen it yet.
Because the ripple could be from Ant-Man and the Wasp. The ripple could be from the spell that Peter Parker asked Doctor Strange to cast.
It's definitely the Doctor Strange spell.
Yeah.
It's definitely Doctor Strange spell.
It could be a combination. It could be a combination of the two things coming together. It could be a lot of things.
Well, what do you mean the Ant-Man thing?
Well, because Ant-Man in the quantum realm.
I was talking about.
You meant Spider-Man: No Way Home?
Yeah, that was.
Yeah, that was earlier. I was talking about how like the ending to Ant-Man and the Wasp, like it feels like the same kind of ending, where when they got dusted and he was stuck in the quantum realm. That and you didn't know at that time because it occurred between the movies.
Oh yeah,
we as audience members we knew because Infinity War came out first.
Yeah, I mean and
but it was the same kind of thing.
Right before, it's the same kind of thing. As I feel.
His phone keeps.
I've already followed this link.
Text notification.
I don't know why it keeps giving me a link notification. I've already followed it.
Yeah, when do we think we're going to see Venom next? I guess since we're starting at this implications at the end, do we think we're going to see Venom show up in No Way Home?
He might show up in No Way Home as the
feel like
sixth member of the Sinister Six, or other rumors has he might end up as an anti-hero ally to Peter Parker against the Sinister Six.
So I think it's a little bit of both. Everybody says that they saw like claws, dark claws in like a sewer or something like that, and they thought it might have been the Lizard, but I really do think that might have been Venom as kind of like a misdirect, because Marvel has a tendency to misdirect a lot. Here's what I think. Here's, if I may give a very quick summary of like a personal opinion of how I think it's going to happen. Is I think he's going to see his very first introduction to Spider-Man is as a villain, having killed a hero, Mysterio. We know better, but he doesn't. And so Venom has this strange, interesting urge in Peter Parker anyway. So we're going to see a fight happen. He's going to join what they are not calling Sinister Six, but we know as the Sinister Six. And they're going to be like, probably some back and forth being like, these guys kind of feel like villains. And then Venom's probably going to be like, yeah, but so do we, you know, kind of like, because they're lethal protectors. So they might actively try to kill Spider-Man, realize Spider-Man's good, try to figure out what their next plan is. Spider-Man gets attacked, gets the symbiote on him to protect him, and then when Venom goes back to Eddie Brock, now he has the Spider-Man logo on his just being.
And he's also,
I believe it might happen.
and then he develops the full-on obsession with Peter Parker that he had from his original origin, which was Secret Wars. You know, when he was, remember when they were on Battle World, and everybody was getting their costumes fixed, and Peter Parker went in and he went to the wrong machine, and instead of getting his costume fixed, he released the symbiote, which became the black Spider-Man costume. And that's how Venom originally came to Earth. And Venom was obsessed with Spider-Man because not only was Spider-Man a perfect genetic fit, kind of like Eddie Brock, but Spider-Man also was so much more powerful than Eddie Brock that it was intoxicating to Venom.
I think that might be it. And the only reason why, and a lot of people are like, Venom's a villain. Venom's never really been a villain. He's just like been really upset at Peter for like throwing him away.
Yes.
Like a son who was just like
Thank
his dad
you.
ran away from home.
Thank you, because he did everything he could to support Peter as his costume. He made he made Peter's strength stronger. He created webbing so Peter no longer had to fill his web shooters. He allowed him to blend into the background.
There was a What If comic that I actually have, and it was what if I believe it was called like What If Venom, like what if Peter never got rid of Venom, and essentially was at the end of the comic like years went by where he was just Black Suit Spider-Man doing everything Spider-Man normally does, helping out the Avengers and shit like that, and then something happens and his I never read it, I just like skimmed through it, but something happens and like the symbiote left him, and it's just like Peter Parker was bones, because like Venom had been keeping his brain alive exclusively. And the second that the symbiote left his body, he died.
Yeah.
And there was nothing that he could do about it. And like that is like the fate of symbiote wearers, at least.
Yeah, and Spider-Man bonded with the Venom symbiote more than anybody else had ever bonded with it, including Eddie Brock. I mean, there was certain points in the comic book where it was almost painful for both Peter and the symbiote to separate. When Reed Richards tried to forcibly separate them, they both went through excruciating pain when it would have been easier for Venom or Spider-Man or both to just release. They didn't because they couldn't. They were so bonded on a submolecular level.
Well, I think Venom didn't. I feel like that was because Venom actively didn't want to leave.
Well, he didn't want to leave.
I don't think that was because.
But they were also no, because one of the things Reed Richards said in that comic book was that they were bonded at such a submolecular level that it would take something drastic like ultrasound waves to really get them to separate, because that's of course the one
Who
thing
wound
that
up
could
being in the
that can weaken the
okay.
symbiote's bond to anything.
So can we talk? Okay, so we're talking a lot about the Spider-Man movie. Can I just say how cool it was that, since we're working backwards, that Venom ate Carnage?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, that was so
Well,
cool.
how
Like,
else is he
weird
going to
and
stop
cool.
a
Just like,
freaking? How else is he supposed to stop a spawnling? I mean, those things could just get away and infect somebody else. I mean, it's not going to be Cletus
He was like-
Cassidy, but it's going to be somebody else. And there's lots of serial killers out there. You know, he's
yeah,
bound
well,
to find some
I mean,
Jeffrey Dahmer out there to link with.
I'm wondering if we're even going to see a return in the toxin thing, because here's my thought that might actually come to happen. This is reminding me a lot of The Leader, where that was teased in The Incredible Hulk and went fucking nowhere. And I feel like if Venom does well in the MCU, Venom might like Disney might get a deal with Sony to use him more in the MCU. And if that's the case, we may never see a return on Toxin because he's never fucking there.
Yeah. He never goes back to his home world, maybe.
Either that, or we'll get like we get with Spider-Man, where
we could probably
where we get some MCU movies and some Sony versions.
No more Anne, no more.
No more what?
I said no more Anne.
Oh yeah, yeah. No more Anne. Just sad. Just like we'll do with this version of Anne. Let's just
and it's got to be said.
Well, I mean, with the Hulk, we haven't seen Betty since Avengers, since Mark Ruffalo took over. We haven't seen Betty appear again.
Yeah.
Now we got to say about the Carnage movie.
We
go ahead.
Yeah, Carnage.
About the Carnage movie, Venom has some of the best one-liners in all of Marvel. In this movie, he's like, "I think we should eat Mrs. Chin."
I would probably say Deadpool still beats him out, but he had a lot of.
But Deadpool is still not technically the Marvel Cinematic Universe yet. So.
Oh yeah, he is. He's confirmed. Deadpool 3 is confirmed to be in the MCU.
It's going to be, but he's not there yet. Venom is at least touching on.
Technically, if we count the. I guess if we count the thing. I thought we were just talking about Marvel movies, not MCU movies.
But if we talk about Marvel movies, yeah, Deadpool's got some one-liners. I got to give you that. But Venom still has some great ones.
But yeah, no.
Like talking about, I think we should eat Mrs. Chin. No, you're not going to eat Mrs. Chin. What did he say? What?
I will have to say this has influenced me, but only because it made me realize how true this was. That this wasn't a superhero movie. This wasn't a dark like a body horror tentacle porn, whatever that person was suggesting it was.
This is not a hentai porn.
100% a love story.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
This was a romantic. This was a romantic comedy between Eddie Brock and Venom.
Between Eddie Brock and Venom.
Yeah.
And between Cletus Cassidy and Shriek.
The relationship.
And between Cletus Cassidy and Shriek. And Eddie Brock. Because ultimately,
I'm
Cassidy,
talking about just Eddie Brock and Venom.
But it was also
it's a love story between Venom and Eddie Brock. 100%.
But it was also a triangle between Eddie Brock, Venom, and Cletus Cassidy, because Cletus Cassidy really just wanted to be accepted by Eddie Brock. He kept saying that Shriek was the only one he cared about, but he really only cared about being accepted by Eddie. You know,
that I feel like that wasn't an honest thing for him to say. I believe his entire thing was he wanted to break Eddie Brock and make him feel bad. And I think that's why I think he was trying to manipulate Eddie Brock, and that's why Venom's like, whatever, I'm still gonna eat you. I think I feel like the point was manipulation, not that he really wanted to be his friend.
Yeah.
And also, I got very big Deadpool vibes from that as well. Of like the whole friendship thing, and then you kill the guy anyway.
Yeah.
Like that definitely had Deadpool vibes as well. At that.
Yeah.
Well, and we know that the
But-
policeman at the very end had the glowy eyes kind of thing going on, which means he might be infected
That's
with the
Toxin.
symbiote of Toxin. Yes.
Yeah.
So-
He's Toxin in the comics. We found
Right.
that after the movie.
Right, which
Neither of us
means
read enough Toxin movies or comics to.
yeah, which means
I had to Google it.
They are-
I feel like that detective's name is familiar, and I just
Well,
can't place
yeah.
it. And
Yeah,
so
it's-
I Googled
it's from
it and
the-
found that in the comics he is Toxin, who is
one of the
basically
spawns,
Carnage's son, in the way that Carnage is Venom's son.
one of the symbiote spawns from that whole symbiote spawn mini arc. But yeah, but they're setting it up so that if they don't focus him primarily in the MCU,
That
he
he has
can-
something to come back to. as
he has
well.
something to come back to with Toxin and stuff
feel like
in the Sony universe.
They're definitely still in the same precarious network where Universal Studios owns the rights to the Hulk. And so when the Hulk was going to the MCU, they weren't sure where it was going to go, so they're leaving like dangling threads to a third, or I guess a second Hulk movie. It feels like that's what they were doing with the whole leader thing. And so I feel, and then the MCU wound up being really big, and like the Hulk just belongs there, so he stayed there. But it feels like that's what is happening with Venom and like Let There Be Carnage.
With Toxin being left there, there's a thread there in case they come back to it, but we're not. It might not pay it off.
Well, and we know
didn't
that there's
feel
a
very
good chance that the Sony universe is all going to end up folding into the Marvel Cinematic Universe anyway, because they've got Vulture crossing over to Mobius.
Yeah.
That's true.
It
It feels funny because like the reveal of the leader happened the same way that the reveal of Toxin happened, which is they're laying down and suddenly they open their eyes and their eyes are a different color.
but the difference,
and it just feels like that's the same reveal anyway.
The difference though between this and
although
that
the leader's
is,
head was starting to bulge out too.
I mean, but similar to this, right now, Marvel does not have the rights to produce solo Hulk movies. They can bring Hulk in with other characters, but they don't have the rights to do solo because Universal has them. And Sony has the rights to do solo Venom movies, but they can negotiate the rights to loan him out to the cinematic universe, just like they're doing Spidey. And then they're linking Mobius by borrowing the Vulture from the cinematic universe.
Yeah.
Which means they're probably going to fold the Sonyverse into the Marvel Cinematic Universe at some point.
I'm not sure that we're calling anything Sony is doing as like the Sonyverse, because I don't think Mobius is taking place in the same universe that the Venom movies are. I think that is taking place in the MCU. It's just a movie being done by
Sony.
Yeah.
Well, I think they wanted to leave it open because of their contract. Because their contract allows them to make...
Yeah, I mean, the fact that Sony is also messing around with the multiverse means that if they need to, they can pull back their characters at any time and like make that an explanation. And so I don't feel like I feel like they could make Mobius a part of the MCU without real worry.
Right. It just depends on how he's accepted. It depends on how he gets accepted.
Like Mobius might not even do well because it doesn't have the same funding or backing as Disney
or character recognition even. I mean, for comic book people,
I know who Mobius is.
And I know who he is, but the rank and file person doesn't. The hardcore Spider-Man fans know who he is.
I feel like anyone who's seen the 90s Spider-Man TV series would know who Michael Morbius was.
Maybe.
Because he was very prominent in that TV series.
Yeah.
He made a lot of, recurring... So a lot of millennials
spots
know who he is. And I think that's why they're making a Michael Morbius movie now. because like people our age would probably be more inclined to watch it.
Yeah.
And also they're doing Blade, and Blade has giant brand recognition, and Blade I believe is being done by Marvel.
Yeah,
Or by
Blade is
Yes.
Marvel.
Studio.
Blade
And
is
so
Marvel.
if that's the case, then Blade and Morbius crossover like together, which
Midnight
they've done in the
Suns.
comics a lot,
Midnight
would
Suns.
make sense and give it brand recognition.
Yeah, because Blade is one of the
Not even Midnight Sun. I mean Midnight Sun, of course, but like not even that. They just have a lot of genuine crossovers.
but a lot of the dark
They're both,
characters
you know,
came in through the Midnight Suns because
Yeah.
Morbius is kind of like interesting in vampires, where he was like he accidentally made himself a vampire. He's not a natural vampire.
right.
So,
Yeah.
like Blade might be like, you're kind of weird. I'm not sure if I could kill you.
Blade,
if I should kill you.
yeah, Blade is what they call a Dhampir, which is a half vampire. Who basically became a vampire in the womb, but not by two vampires mating, but rather by mother getting infected while she's pregnant. So he's a Dhampir.
What kind of budget Morbius has?
And then Morbius is...
Huh? I have no idea.
It didn't have the budget of most of these films. Morbius is a clinical vampire. He gains his vampirism through science, with some mystic elements, but not through like the dark home or vampire blood or anything, but through vampire bat venom and his own porphyria intermingling.
Yeah, the same kind of like well, in the 90s they represented it like the same kind of like radioactive abilities that they gave it they infused into the spider. He was like messing with that to turn it.
Yeah, he was bit by a radioactive bat. Just like Spider-Man was bit by the radioactive spider.
I mean, like if if Spider-Man being bit by a radioactive spider makes him Spider-Man, then he would be Batman by like.
Yes.
Yeah.
He should be. You can call me Batman. Yes. No.
It would be Nosferatu to like Blade's Dracula.
Right.
Not quite the same character and a little bit more like a little bit less edgy. You know?
Yep. But anyway,
I feel like it could be a good movie.
We've gone past 11 o'clock. There's more we can talk about on Carnage next week, I'm sure. Carnage could get a lot of talk. But it's already after 11. I'm exhausted. And I'm pretty sure Lurch is probably starving. He usually is about this time during the show.
Yeah. I'm a little bit hungry. And
probably Squirrel probably wants to see him for a little bit. She wants girlfriend time now.
I appreciate you guys having me on the show. I had a
really anytime. You're welcome, man. We value your input. It's nice to get another set of point of views, especially since, as much as we love Greg is just not a mediophile like we are. And we want to go on and on and on about this part. And it's usually just me and Lurch, and having a third or fourth voice adds to the conversation, I think. Especially because...
and Lurch and I already talk for hours about nonsense that like doesn't relate.
When we watch, so we went together and saw Carnage, and Squirrel was with us as well. And like we come out of the movie, and Angel and I keep wanting to talk about it, but like I think Angel needed to go do something else too, and Squirrel was like, "Can we go yet?" Like standing outside the theater.
me and my
Lurch and I. If you see like on my call logs 4 hours of me and Lurch talking, it's because we saw something and we wanted to talk about it.
Yeah.
So. Well, like I went with my best gay. Me and my best gay went, and she and I sat and talked about it through the credits while we were watching the credit scene, and then talked about it all the way out, and then talked about it all the way home, and and she's not even that huge of a superhero geek. She's more of a Star Wars geek. She's like an old. If it had been a Star Wars movie, we'd still be talking about it right now. I'd have missed the show.
My goodness.
She is an ultimate Star Wars geek. But yeah, it's nice to have somebody who's as much of a comic book geek as you are on the show, Angel, because Lurch, in a lot of ways, is a newborn comic book geek. He came into it later, but you've got a longer standing. Like you've got a longer standing history. I do feel like that.
Yeah, I do feel like I've been reading comics longer, but I do feel like in the sheer number of comics read, Lurch probably has me beat a little bit, because like I only really pay attention to Marvel. I have a lot of good knowledge of DC. But, like, I think I've read more Marvel comics, maybe, or at least older Marvel comics than Lurch. But Lurch is just, in general, really high comic knowledge.
And everything. And my specialty really lies in 1989 and before. But then it goes across all the different comic book biggies.
Honestly, same. I inherited a giant, and I'm talking about, like, giant, like 40 pounds of comic books from my mother and my uncle whenever they were in like growing up in the 70s and 80s. So like that's where a lot of like my comic knowledge.
Well, and that is when I grew up. From there. I was born in 71. And I collected until 89 when my brother stole my collection. And after that, it was only bits and pieces that I read after that, because it was kind of disappointing having to start all over from scratch. But I had every Spider-Man, every X-Men, every Superman and Batman comic to come out before 1989. I had all of those. You know, I had the original Ultraman comics and several of the weird imprints that ended up being absorbed by Marvel and DC. I had a lot of the Dark Horse. What?
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you say Ultraman?
Yeah, Ultraman. I had the Ultraman comics.
We're talking about the size changing.
Yeah. Oh no.
Tokusatsu character?
No, Ultraman. He was in a very short-lived imprint that was later on purchased by, I think DC bought it. It might have been Marvel, but
and they're now doing it. The one that
no, they're not doing it now. This is one they're not doing now. This one they're not doing currently, but they did a short-lived couple of cartoons for it, but that was it. Not the new thing they're doing now. But I've gone through a lot of different imprints. I've gone through Dark Horse. I've gone through Impact Comics. I've gone through Image Comics. I remember when the Marvel 9 broke away from Marvel. I remember, all those, and those are the ones I collected and read. And Spider-Man and the X-Men and Batman were my obsessions. And Doctor Strange. Yeah. Doctor Strange was my favorite comic book in Marvel, and Batman was my favorite in DC. Although I did love John Constantine too. But I loved comic books. In fact, my least favorite DC comic was actually Superman, but I still had them all. I had the Death of Superman, and I had a few other
like
of those.
Everybody had the Death of Superman.
I had four copies of the Death of Superman because at the time I knew they were going to become valuable.
People who didn't collect comic books had Death of Superman, I think.
Yeah.
Oh man, they had many copies of Death of Superman.
But I had 4 copies of it. 3 of which I never opened the plastic rack on. But then, of course, I've been homeless since then, so I don't have them anymore.
When it comes to Venom, I know we all have all 3 of us. We've all 3, I think, read a lot of comics, but different comics. Angel has read quite a bit of Venom-related comics. I've only read a few.
I haven't read a lot of the newer stuff. I think he just turned off his cam.
Oh, yeah, I'm trying to back on. There it goes.
There you go.
So my Venom knowledge is mostly reading of Venom in Spider-Man comics, and then seeing Venom in other things, right? like whether it's the Spider-Man TV show or Guardians of the Galaxy, because he had a stint in the Guardians of the Galaxy
Yeah, he
for a
did have
while.
a stint in the Guardians of the Galaxy.
But I haven't read. But outside of that, I don't have a whole, and then a handful of video games that I've played with Venom in them, which the accuracy of those are kind of hit or miss. As Angel learned about Shriek the other day, because in one of the video games, Shriek was a symbiote character, not a mutant, and then that's the only place where she's a symbiote, not a mutant.
Yeah, I played.
Is that one video game?
Yeah, I played it on the Wii, and that's yeah, it's crazy to me. Like that's where I thought
it's disturbing when they change the source material like that.
Me and Lurch had a conversation. I was like, I'm pretty sure she was a symbiote. Because I was like, I'm sad she didn't get the Carnage symbiote and like do that thing in the comics. And Lurch was like, I think she's a mutant. And I'm like, no, I'm pretty sure she was a symbiote. Turns out she was only a symbiote in the game that I played.
Yeah. But yeah, like I know Venom from his first origins in Secret Wars.
The Ultraman you're talking about?
I can't see it real well. But that doesn't look like him. I don't think that's the one I'm talking about. But my Venom knowledge goes back to Secret Wars. That's where I first experienced Venom. And Secret Wars 1 and Secret Wars 2.
I know the Secret Wars story. I've read Secret Wars.
Secret Wars 1
I know his origin.
Wars 2
I mean, I know that stuff. But where I lose it is, where I lose this knowledge of Venom is, like, I know Carnage. I've seen a couple of the other symbiotes briefly here or there. But, like, I can't remember Toxic. I haven't read anything about Anti-Venom. And I know there's a whole chain of, like, eat more symbiotes. And
a lot of people shit on Agent Venom, but I feel like that's, like, that Agent Venom and Anti-Venom is probably my favorite two versions of Venom.
Yeah.
Just Venom and stuff like that. And, like, there was the Guardians of the Galaxy where Venom was a Guardian as Agent Venom. It was really nice. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
So, like, I would be excited that Venom would, if he's in the MCU, be in a Guardians of the Galaxy movie.
Oh, man, that would be something.
Eventually.
I would enjoy that.
There's so much they still need to do with the MCU. I mean, you got to admit, there's so much room for the MCU still. I mean, there's entire teams they have not touched on, or they tried years ago and it never worked, like the Power Pack. And Alpha Flight.
No one wants Alpha Flight.
I want Alpha Flight.
Fuck you. I love Sasquatch.
I love Alpha Flight. Sasquatch. Puck is awesome.
Yeah, Puck, Sasquatch. There's a lot of great members on that team.
Northstar.
And Sasquatch is an amazing whole character.
Northstar and his sister? Hell yeah.
Give them a guest appearance in a one-off episode, but they don't need a movie.
No, they need a movie.
Dude, I want to see a horror Sasquatch movie. Give me a horror Sasquatch movie. Make it a rated R.
I want to see Sasquatch versus the Hulk.
I'll watch it. If it's an MCU movie, I'm going to watch it. But
I want to see the Alpha Flight get their own movie.
If they made
in case anyone who doesn't know, Alpha Flight is Canada's premier Avengers team.
Yes.
If they made a movie where the whole thing was about Puck joining the circus, but it's in the MCU, I would give it a watch.
Well, Puck is one of my favorite characters.
Boring,
I love Puck. I mean, don't get me wrong.
The thing I like and hate about Puck is that he's just Beast before all the hair.
Yeah. But
and shorter.
Yeah,
is much shorter. But Puck is a great character. Sasquatch is a great character. Northstar is a great character. I mean, Alpha Flight was a good team. And
okay, they have interesting characters solo, and I would gladly watch it just for Sasquatch because, like, I'm in love with that motherfucker. I think he's amazing. But I would not be excited about the fact that it's Alpha Flight. I would be excited about the fact that Sasquatch is in it.
It'd be great to appear in like a Deadpool movie and Deadpool shits on him about being a shitty Canadian Avengers.
Oh my god, Deadpool versus Alpha Flight?
That would be interesting.
Please.
Now,
See,
of course, and Alpha Flight is directly related to Wolverine too because he's Canadian.
Yeah. I mean, that's so canonical to like comics too. This like Alpha Flight versus Deadpool. Oh my god.
yeah.
But I would love to
okay,
see.
You know what? Like,
But there's all kinds of stuff that I still want to see.
Great concept.
There's so much I still want to see. I want to see the Thunderbolts.
Agent Venom and Guardians of the Galaxy 4 and Deadpool 3 versus the Alpha Flight.
With oh my god. Or if okay, hear this. Wolverine versus the Hulk with Deadpool in it, just like the cartoon.
Okay.
Yeah.
But we gotta go ahead and stop this broadcast now. We gotta stop this broadcast. If we want to keep, we can keep shooting the shit for a couple minutes, but we don't need to do it on air anymore. So thank you guys for listening. Once again, we're with Eclectic Endeavors. I want to thank our guest, Angel. Angel, for those who don't know, is part of Left Claw Studios with Lurch. So you can find them on twitch.tv/Left Claw Studios. They don't have any regular shows going on right now, but they're working on it. I think by the beginning of the year, I think we're also going to start doing some more streaming again, a little bit more proactively. The only thing I'm doing regularly is this show. And I think that's true of Lurch too right now, with all the other things going on in life.
Lurch has got a lot of like projects in the fire right now.
Yeah, and we're looking for a house.
Yeah.
And so we got a lot of stuff in there, but we're with Eclectic Endeavors. Angel's not actually part of Eclectic Endeavors, but he's part of Left Claw Studios, and we like to have him on as a guest to comment about comic books and kaiju movies and stuff like that. So expect to see him again in another time, especially if another kaiju movie comes out. Or some more on Venom, or maybe during Spider-Man No Way Home.
I'd be glad to be a part of every single Marvel conversation you.
If you're not busy doing something else, man, come on in, because we can easily swap you out for Greg. When Greg leaves, you just come in and you start talking shit.
Oh yeah, I'm a great. You know, I've heard it all my life. Everybody's like, you know, you look like a great Greg replacement.
Yeah,
they told me that my whole life.
Well, that's good. So you're our other Greg. So other Greg, say goodnight.
Good night. Thank you for having me.
No problem, and thank you guys for tuning in. We're here every Wednesday from 8 to 10. Sometimes longer, like tonight. And we try to cover everything in the nerdosphere. Stay tuned to hear more information about upcoming stuff involving the Gaming Arts Media Entertainment Expo, Picnic at the End of the Universe, and other activities we do around the Ozarks. Remember, everything we do is for the education involved in these nerdy arts. And also, my Twitch channel, the Gamers's channel you're viewing this on today, is fully dedicated to Extra Life, which is part of the Children's Miracle Network, helping hospital-bound kids with long-term and terminal conditions just get a little bit of normalcy in their life or help them adjust. And especially during COVID, when they weren't able to see a bunch of their relatives because of quarantining, they needed a lot of help. They still do. So give from the heart. Remember, if we've got it and they don't, it's only the right thing to do sometimes to give to others. Thank you so much. May all your dice rolls be 20. May all your comics be in mint condition. And may your movies be epic. Have a good night.
Peace.
Peace.